This is the Marching Revolution podcast.
Boots on the ground with a thunderous beat. Hearts in sync, our purpose complete. Map of the future drawn by our stride. Through the struggle we walk unified.
Hey everyone, welcome back. For those of you who just can't get enough marching arts.
For those who practically live for it.
Exactly. If you see a football field and just instantly you can hear the snare drums in your head.
Or when you close your eyes, you're seeing drill charts.
Yeah. Or, when that battery locks in and the horns just hit that first chord and your heart skips a beat.
Yeah, like a physical reaction.
This is, for you, this deep dive is going to be a doozy. And, we're going deep on something that's got everyone talking.
Pretty much.
Is marching arts.
Wait for it.
Going indoors.
Okay, so I know what you're thinking right now. This isn't just some speculation or, a casual what-if scenario.
Right. We're not just spitballing here.
Exactly. We've been doing our homework. We've got a ton of articles, internal documents from some pretty big organizations, even a few little whispers from people right in the middle of it all.
Ooh, juicy.
And honestly, it's all pointing in a pretty clear direction.
So I know what you're thinking. Isn't indoor marching just color guard and those percussion groups you see in gyms?
Yeah, exactly like what our parents used to do.
But hold on, because this isn't your average winter percussion line. This could be huge, a massive shift.
Yeah, changing the whole game.
Everything we think we know about marching arts could be completely different.
Yeah, exactly. And remember all those budget meetings, where you're stressing over bus rentals and trying to make that uniform budget last another year?
Oh, tell me about it.
Well, times that stress by 10, because the financial strain on outdoor marching is getting crazy, seriously intense.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
These sources are painting a pretty bleak picture. Travel costs are insane, equipment is getting more and more expensive, and stadium rentals don't even get me started.
It's a nightmare.
It's getting to the point where some groups are facing a really tough choice, cut corners and risk the quality of their program.
Or just fold completely.
Yeah, and that's the reality.
It's heartbreaking, especially for someone like you who lives and breathes this activity. We're talking DCI Corps struggling, DCA basically gone.
And membership fees?
Oh my gosh, don't even get me started.
$5,000 a season in some cases.
How are these groups supposed to survive?
Imagine having to tell a passionate student, someone who lives for marching arts, that they can't afford to participate.
Yeah, that's the reality we're facing.
And it leads us to a tough question. Can outdoor marching in its current form even survive these financial pressures?
Right.
Some of these sources are saying maybe not.
And that's where this whole indoor thing comes in right now. While outdoor marching is, trying to stay afloat, indoor activities are thriving.
Yeah, they're killing it.
WGI Winter Guard International.
Yeah.
They're huge. They've got these massive indoor color guard percussion and winds competitions.
It's not just a small thing anymore. They're attracting some serious talent.
Definitely.
And pushing the limits of what you can even do in a performance.
It's pretty amazing. And these sources are highlighting some pretty compelling reasons for why this is happening, first of all, weather.
Right. Indoor venues are climate controlled, so no rainouts, no scorching heat, no freezing fingers.
It's a consistent performance environment, so groups can really focus on making their shows incredible.
To a level that's just not possible outdoors.
And speaking of performance, think about the possibilities of an indoor space. You don't have to worry about the back row in a giant stadium.
You've got these intimate venues, sophisticated lighting, the ability to use elements that would never work outdoors.
Moving sets, projection mapping, interactive technology, come on.
It's like trading a football field for a Broadway stage.
Seriously, it's a totally different canvas. And it's not just about the spectacle. This shift indoors allows designers to create these immersive, nuanced, emotionally engaging shows.
It's like a shift from just visual grandeur to storytelling and emotional impact.
And here's where it gets interesting, especially if you're, passionate about the future of marching arts. These sources are saying that indoor activities are inherently more inclusive and accessible.
Yeah. For sure.
Lower costs, more students can participate, period.
Less physically demanding shows so people of all body types and abilities can join.
It's not just for the super athlete who can afford the, crazy fees.
Exactly. And that's a powerful argument. It really makes you think about who we might be excluding because of these financial and physical barriers.
And this leads us to a comparison that's pretty hard to ignore. You got DCI, which has been the gold standard of drum corps facing declining participation and financial woes. And then you've got WGI exploding.
Over 1,000 competing ensembles.
And it's not just the numbers they're attracting, top talent, pushing artistic boundaries in ways that are turning heads.
This isn't just random. It's a big shift in momentum. It makes you wonder, if WGI keeps growing, will it eventually become more prestigious and influential than outdoor activities?
That's a huge question, right?
Right.
And it ties into a deeper philosophical shift that these sources are talking about. This isn't just about moving indoors. It's about embracing a different set of values and priorities.
Exactly. Indoor marching often emphasizes artistic collaboration, year-round skill development, and this constant drive to innovate.
It's less about tradition for tradition's sake and more about pushing the art form forward. So this brings us to a really personal question for you, dear listener. Think back to what first drew you to marching arts. Was it the competition, the tradition, the spectacle?
Or was it something deeper?
Something about the creative process, the camaraderie, the joy of pushing yourself to achieve something amazing, because these sources are making a compelling argument that those core values, the ones that really drive this activity, might be finding a more fertile ground indoors.
It's a lot to think about, and we're just scratching the surface. But let's be honest, haven't we all seen the writing on the wall for a while now?
Yeah, kind of.
Maybe it's time to have a real conversation about what the future of marching arts looks like, and maybe, just maybe, that future is inside.
So buckle up, folks, because things are about to get really interesting. We're going to dive even deeper into the specifics of this shift, explore the potential benefits and challenges, and try to figure out what it all means for the future of this activity we love so much. Stay with us.
You know, one of the things that really jumped out at me from all these sources was like the sheer variety of indoor marching programs that are popping up.
Yeah, it seems like they're everywhere.
Like, we're not just talking about the traditional color guard and percussion groups anymore.
Right.
There are groups out there using elements of theater dance, multimedia, even acrobatics.
It's wild.
It's like this whole new world of artistic expression is opening up.
It really is. It's like indoor marching is becoming this melting pot of creativity, pulling from all these different art forms.
Yeah, cool.
One article even called it the avant-garde of the marching arts world.
Which kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, when you take away the limitations of having to perform outside, it frees up designers and performers to really experiment, you know?
Totally. They can innovate in ways that just weren't possible before.
Exactly. And this experimentation isn't just happening at the elite level either.
Right.
High schools all over the country are starting to incorporate indoor elements into their programs.
It's becoming more and more common.
They're seeing the benefits like increased student engagement, better skill development, and just overall excitement for the activity.
Yeah, they're definitely seeing results.
And don't forget about the educational aspect of all this.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Indoor programs can offer year-round training and performance opportunities.
Right.
Which means students aren't just cramming everything into a few months in the fall.
They're getting consistent instruction and practice, which can lead to like a whole new level of musicianship and technical proficiency.
That's a big deal. We're talking about developing well-rounded musicians who are comfortable in all sorts of settings.
Not just on a football field.
Exactly. And those skills are transferable too.
For sure.
Imagine these students taking what they've learned back to their high school marching bands or even DCI Corps.
That's how you elevate the entire activity.
It's like this cross-pollination of ideas and techniques that could totally revitalize marching arts.
It's exciting to think about.
And here's another thing that I'm really digging about, this indoor movement, the emphasis on collaboration.
Oh, yeah.
One source even called it a shift from competition to community.
That's interesting, and I think there's something to that.
Yeah.
In a lot of indoor programs, there's this bigger focus on working together to create something beautiful and meaningful.
Rather than just trying to beat the other groups.
Yeah, exactly.
Which isn't to say competition is bad.
Of course not.
But maybe there's a way to find a balance. You know,
sure.
Create an environment where both healthy competition and artistic collaboration can exist.
Right, because at the end of the day, it's all about fostering a love for the art form.
Regardless of where it takes place.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about all the potential benefits of moving indoors, but what about the challenges? There have to be some downsides, right?
Well, yeah, every change comes with its own obstacles.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest challenges for indoor marching is going to be infrastructure.
Like finding places to perform?
Exactly. Right now, there just aren't enough suitable indoor venues to meet the demand.
It's going to be tough.
We're talking about spaces with good acoustics, staging capabilities, and enough room for a decent audience.
That's a big ask.
It's a significant investment, and then there's the tradition thing.
Yeah.
Let's face it, some people are just going to resist change no matter what.
They're attached to the way things have always been done.
There's a certain feeling, that comes with performing on a football field under the lights.
It's hard to beat.
That's something indoor marching just can't replicate.
And those feelings are valid.
Absolutely.
I think it's important to acknowledge them and have respectful conversations about how we can honor tradition while still moving forward.
Right.
Maybe it doesn't have to be one or the other.
Maybe there's room for both.
Maybe outdoor and indoor marching can coexist.
And even complement each other.
Exactly. Imagine a future where groups can do both outdoor and indoor shows,
Yeah.
tailoring their performances to the strengths of each setting.
That's a cool idea. You could have a huge spectacle on the field for competitions.
And then a more intimate, artistically ambitious show indoors.
For a different audience, or maybe even a different time of year.
So many possibilities.
It could really open things up.
And just maybe this evolution of marching arts is exactly what it needs to survive
And thrive.
in the long run.
It's a bold statement, but it's hard to ignore,
Yeah, I get it.
We've been kind of tiptoeing around the issue.
The elephant in the room.
Exactly. The financial realities, declining participation in outdoor marching, the energy and innovation happening indoors, it all points to a pretty clear conclusion: this shift indoors.
It's coming.
It's probably inevitable.
And you know what? The more I learn about this indoor movement, the less I'm worried.
I know, right?
It's actually pretty exciting.
It is.
Think about the possibilities: more diverse and inclusive programs, more opportunities to train and perform year-round.
More creative freedom for designers and performers.
It's a win-win.
And who knows, maybe this is exactly what marching arts needs to reach new audiences.
And stay relevant.
For years to come.
I think it's time we embrace the future instead of clinging to the past.
I agree wholeheartedly.
But before we get too carried away with all these amazing ideas,
Right.
let's take a closer look at what's already happening in the indoor world.
A reality check.
Because the future of marching arts might be closer than we think.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we've talked about a lot in this deep dive, like the financial struggles of outdoor marching, the huge growth of indoor activities, and this potential shift in how we see and experience marching arts. But let's get real. What does all of this mean for you, the diehard marching arts fan who's listening, with maybe a little excitement and maybe a little bit of nervousness?
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it? And I don't think there's one easy answer. But one thing that these sources keep saying is we got to embrace change.
Like change is going to happen whether we like it or not, right?
Exactly. And look, we get it. You've put your heart and soul into marching arts. You have memories tied to stepping onto that field, the smell of the grass, the roar of the crowd under the Friday night lights.
Like those experiences are powerful and they're a part of why we love this activity.
For sure.
But here's the thing. The world's changing and marching arts has to change with it.
If it wants to survive.
It doesn't mean forgetting tradition completely.
Of course not.
But it does mean being open to new things, new ways of expressing ourselves, new ways of connecting with audiences.
And it's not just about surviving either. It's about thriving.
Like really taking it to the next level.
Exactly. Think about it. If we can harness all this energy and innovation that's happening in the indoor world, who knows what incredible new forms of marching arts we could create.
Yeah.
Imagine shows that seamlessly blend music, movement, technology, and storytelling in ways we can't even imagine right now.
Mind-blowing.
Imagine programs that are open to anyone with a passion for this art form, no matter their physical abilities or how much money they have.
Now that's a future I can get behind. And the good news is that future is already starting to happen. We're seeing it in the amazing shows by WGI groups, in the new programs in schools, and in the conversations happening online, and in rehearsal halls all over the country.
The energy is definitely there.
And what's really exciting is that young people are leading this change.
The students, the performers, the future of marching arts.
They're not afraid to shake things up, experiment, push the boundaries. And honestly, that's exactly what marching arts needs right now.
It does.
A fresh perspective. A willingness to embrace the unknown and a belief that the best is yet to come.
It's inspiring.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, we want to leave you with a challenge.
Okay.
Instead of worrying about what we might lose, let's focus on what we can gain.
I like that.
Let's be a part of this conversation. Let's share our ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Let's support the programs and people who are shaping the future of marching arts.
It's up to all of us.
Because the future of this activity is in our hands. It's up to each and every one of us to decide what kind of legacy we want to leave for the next generation of marchers.
That's a powerful thought.
Let's make it a legacy that's bold and innovative and inclusive and most importantly, filled with that same passion and joy that brought us to this activity in the first place.
Absolutely well said.
So we'll leave you to think about all the possibilities. This is just the beginning of the conversation. Keep exploring, keep questioning, keep pushing the boundaries. The future of marching arts is waiting to be written, and we can't wait to see what you create.
Thank you for listening to the Marching Revolution podcast.
Boots on the ground with a thunderous beat. Hearts in sync, our purpose complete. Map of the future drawn by our stride. Through the struggle we walk unified. Marching forward.